very good evening and welcome to yet another edition of YES101's Visual Radio. Bringing you the news, I'm Theruni Karunaratna. Before we head on to your stories in detail, let's first take a look at your headlines.
News First headline.
Making headlines in local news, Sri Lankan delegation to Russia. Urgent talks on ex-military trafficked to war zone. Decision to defer debt payments until 2027. Sri Lanka's coal power plants to be decommissioned as per the country's renewable energy policy. Fuel leaks reported at Colombo Harbour. M Entertainment signs exclusive deal with Virgin Music Group. In news overseas, Iran registers presidential candidates for early vote after Raisi's death. And sports, it's cricket. T20 World Cup, a boost to sports' American dream. On to those stories in detail now. Sri Lanka's State Minister of Foreign Affairs Tharaka Balasurya announced new measures to regulate travel to Russia amidst concerns about Sri Lankan military personnel who travelled to Russia and reportedly became involved in the ongoing conflict in Ukraine.
We are working out with the Minister of Defence as for the exact number of people who have gone to Russia. So far, we have received 455 complaints. We feel that these numbers could be higher than this. We are verifying the numbers. The people who have gone to Russia have gone through different means. Most of the people who have gone to Russia have taken visit visas, and then they have gone via 5 routes through India or through the Middle East. And they have been, I think, duped by certain nefarious agents. Some of these people have been arrested.
Meanwhile, a Sri Lankan delegation is expected to travel to Russia next week to discuss the issue concerning retired military personnel involved in the Russia-Ukraine conflict.
We have requested for appointments from the Russian Foreign Ministry and the Ministry of Defense, and we hope that the appointments will come by the 5th. We have indicated that we will be wanting to travel to Russia between 5th and the 7th.
Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that a strategic decision to defer debt payments until 2027 has been made. Speaking at an event in Colombo, the president said that though interest payments are required to be made during the said period, the debt need not be serviced. President Ranil Wickremesinghe attended the Leslie Devendra Singhavalokana ceremony at the Bandaranayake Memorial International Conference Hall in Colombo to commemorate the 60th anniversary of Deshabandhu Leslie Devendra's career. The president said that the government has made the strategic decision to defer debt payments until 2027, focusing on renegotiating repayment terms to extend until 2042. He said that the aim is to safeguard the country's economy from collapse under the weight of debt burdens, adding that, however, reliance on imports may necessitate further borrowing, prompting the country to prioritize strategies for repayment. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka's Power and Energy Minister Kanchana Wijesekara announced that coal power plants in Sri Lanka will be decommissioned as per the country's long-term generation plan. He said that Sri Lanka has set a target of securing 70% of the country's energy requirement via renewable energy by 2030. Advancing Energy Transition Roundtable discussion with the World Bank, the Asian Development Bank and other stakeholders took place with the participation of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. During the program, Minister Kanchana Wijesekara elaborated on the long-term generation plan.
Sri Lanka has set its targets for 70% from renewable energy by 2030. And also mentioned by the President are decarbonization goals, carbon neutrality by 2050, which he wants to advance to 2040. Ambitious plans, but with the right support, with the right implementation plans, which we think can be achieved as well. In that regard, we also have a policy of no new coal power plants to be implemented in Sri Lanka, which we have given a commitment at COP26 and which we had continued, and we have developed our long-term generation plan, taking in these principles, the 70% renewable energy, carbon neutrality, and the decommissioning of coal power plants in Sri Lanka. With that, the challenges that we have is that we need about 4,000 megawatts of new renewable energy that should be integrated into the grid by 2030. We have identified renewable energy zones, particularly in the northern and the eastern parts of Sri Lanka. That is where we believe our potential is for solar, wind, onshore, offshore both, that we can utilize not just for our own domestic requirements, and as the President said, we are willing to share our energy with the regional countries as well. For that, the infrastructure needs to be developed. We had estimated earlier last year the investment that is needed for the infrastructure development in the north and east, especially combining the 9 backbone lines that needs to be integrated with the other transmission lines, is going to be somewhere around $6 billion in the next 6 years. So that is something that the government can't right now invest in terms of infrastructure. If you have an understanding of the Sri Lanka electricity sector, the government has a monopoly in the transmission line development and the distribution parts. But we have proposed in the new reforms that we need to take into account these challenges and invite suitable investors even for the transmission line developments.
In addition, party leaders who met in Parliament have decided for the second reading debate on the Sri Lanka Electricity Bill to take place next Thursday. Now, the bill proposes for the Ceylon Electricity Board, which operates as a single entity, to be divided into separate entities, paving the way for privatization. In more local news now, a fuel leak has been reported from a vessel that reached the Colombo harbour during the process of unloading fuel. The Marine Environment Protection Authority, or MIPA, told Newsfirst that steps have been taken to prevent the fuel from contaminating the ocean. Now, on Wednesday afternoon, a quantity of diesel fuel shipped by PetroChina to the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation had leaked. The Ceylon Petroleum Storage Terminals Limited said that the incident occurred within a pipeline used for transporting fuel from a ship. Ceylon Petroleum Storage Terminals Limited said that the leak took place on land and a certain quantity leaked contaminated seawater. In addition, Ceylon Petroleum Storage Terminals Limited responded by adding dispersants to the water to mitigate the impact. With the support of the Ports Authority, Ceylon Petroleum Storage Terminals Limited had controlled the spillage. As of this afternoon, the affected pipeline had been closed and excavation work is underway to pinpoint the exact location of the leak. Meanwhile, the Marine Environment Protection Authority has taken legal action in response to this fuel leak. Now, in a separate incident, an Indian ship which experienced a fuel leak while anchored in the port of Colombo has been taken into custody by the Marine Environment Protection Authority. The purpose of this action is to conduct a thorough investigation into the related oil spill. MIPA has formally requested compensation amounting to 15 million rupees in connection to this incident. A day earlier, the Colombo Additional Magistrate issued an order prohibiting the foreign travel of the ship's captain. In a breakthrough deal that will allow Sri Lankan singing talent to make it big internationally, M Entertainment's, Sri Lanka's largest record label, today signed an exclusive partnership with global giants Virgin Music Group and Universal Music. VMG is the world's leading partner to independent music companies and artists with global infrastructure and local expertise in every major music market around the world. The partnership agreement was signed at VMG in Mumbai today by Amit Sharma, Country Manager, India of the Virgin Music Group, and Frederick Dissanayake, CEO of M Entertainment's Sri Lanka. Group Director of the Capital Maharaja Group, Shavan Daniel, and Lavanya Das of the Virgin Music Group were also present at the signing. Sri Lankan talent with international potential under the M Entertainment's label will now be offered compelling, efficient and highly flexible global solutions with the most advanced marketing technology available. Let's now take a look at international news.
International news.
Iranian Interior Minister Ahmad Vahidi told State TV that the country started today the registration of candidates for an early election next month following the death of President Ibrahim Raisi in a helicopter crash. Once seen as a possible successor to Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Iran's aging ultimate decision maker, Raisi's sudden death has triggered a race among hardliners to influence the selection of Iran's next leader. After the 5-day registration period, the Guardian Council, which oversees elections and legislation, will vet the candidates running for the presidency. Moderate politicians have accused the 12-member hardline Guardian Council of disqualifying rivals to hardline candidates who are expected to dominate the upcoming presidential race. Up next is Sports News.
Sports News.
Now, cricket begins a campaign for the hearts and wallets of American fans this week as the T20 World Cup kicks off on Saturday in Dallas, bringing the best of the sport to less familiar territory. The United States play Canada in the first match of the tournament, co-hosted by the West Indies, while a temporary stadium in Nassau County, New York, hosts its first of 8 fixtures on Monday. Lauderhill, Florida, will host 4 matches. Cricket boasts billions of fans around the globe, but few adherents in the lucrative North American market, where fans are more accustomed to watching New York Yankees slugger Aaron Judge pick up a bat rather than Rohit Sharma or Joss Butler. The journey started with Major League Cricket, which began play in the United States last year, and culminates with the 2028 Los Angeles Games, where cricket will be reintroduced to the Olympic program for the first time since 1900. And that's a wrap of today's final edition of YES101 Visual Radio. Bringing you the news, I'm Theruni Karunaratne. For details of all these stories and much more, simply log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk or follow us on our social media platforms. As always, thank you very much for watching. Good night.